What are some things you'd only know by growing up poor? That sometimes your parents sacrifice everything they have, including their sanity, just to see you happy. And you only learn later in life the soul-crushing existence of poverty. Then you wonder how they managed to do so much with so little. Pizza nights are the best birthday present you could ever fucking get. A whole pizza, ordered exactly how you like it, and you get to have more than one slice. IDK about in other states, but in MN they can't shut your power off during the winter because of the danger of someone freezing to death in their house. So that was a good time to try to catch up on some other bills you are way behind on too. Most gas station attendants will not stop a small child from stealing toilet paper from their bathrooms. Food stamp paper change. When I was a kid, if you used food stamps they would give back the change in food stamp form. My mom was too proud to publicly use them, so she would make up a reason to leave and I would have to pay using them. I was 11 or so. She did it every time. I had to learn to keep my head up. How to cook with the government's surplus cheese. Not to ask their parents for stuff. How important ingenuity becomes to eat. How good a buttered tortilla is. Knowing the cheapest thing on the menu at every restaurant, for when your friend's family invites you out to dinner. Even though you're not paying, you're programmed to only select the cheapest thing. My friend's mom said, "You sure like hot dogs." That's all you order no matter where we go to eat. Outdated technology. When I started college, one of my professors asked if anyone in our class remembered how you changed a channel on the TV before remote controls. I was the only person in the room who remembered turning dials and adjusting rabbit ears despite being one of the youngest students in the class, because my family had a TV from the 70s until 1995. Same sort of thing with computers, phones, etc. If we had it at all, we got something much later than anyone else, after it got cheaper, and bought used. I got my first computer in 1999. It had Windows 3.1 and that was what I used until I was able to use my financial aid to get a new PC tower for college. You go to bed early to skip a meal. You develop an appreciation for hand-me-down clothes when they come your way. I'm hungry. Drink some water. We were probably the best hydrated children at school, Lamau. But I think the thing I appreciate most is the independence I've gained, through fixing things to keep them going, or from just not wanting to ask my parents for help when I know they're struggling too. When someone breaks into your house but doesn't take anything. Happened once. Still think it's funny. What hunger really is. I remember waiting for my dad's payday for the grocery shopping trip and being absolutely ravenous when the food got there. Government cheese, doing your laundry in a bathtub using only cold water. BC the gas was shut off, trying to spend the night at your friend's house. BC they had food in the warm room, thanks Nikki, loving going to school because you could at least eat there, trips to Goodwill for new clothes, showers at school because at least 3 water was warm. Being made fun of because you smelled like kerosene, having lice and no one doing anything about it, going to school with bruises. BC your parents took their shitty decisions out in you. I'm so grateful to a handful of people that saw potential in me. I went to college, got a great job, and broke the cycle. Thanks Tom and Tony. Your dad asking you for $20 so he can go to work for the week, but he'll pay you back when he gets paid. The feeling of not eating for a day or sometimes days. Not being able to do extracurriculars. I wanted to be in orchestra and I wanted to play soccer, but we couldn't afford it, so I was told no. Couldn't afford the uniforms or the gas to get me to practice, and definitely couldn't afford a violin. I ended up moving to a largely upper middle class area for college. First boyfriend was rich. He played 9 instruments and played soccer and went skiing since age 6. He voiced that he thought I was lazy and untalented for not having done at least a sport or learned something like guitar. I explained that we couldn't afford it, but that didn't seem to register. He tried to give me his old violin at one point so I could learn, and his mother pretty much ripped it out of my hands. Anything shiny on the ground might be a coin. I truly had no idea until I was in my junior year of high school taking child development that Head Start was a program created for children from homes of low income. I simply thought it was a place for me to get a head start as a kid. I still remember my teacher saying verbatim, "No honey, your family was just poor," in front of the whole class. Edit, RIP my inbox, ha. Cockroaches are killed by baking soda. Camping is only fun when you've never had to do it out of necessity. My mom could somehow cook 2 chickens on a Sunday and feed 6 people all week. Towards the end it was more just corn chowder cooked in chicken stock, but it was dinner. Also we kept a garden. You didn't work the garden, you didn't eat. Sit down on a summer evening? Better have a bowl in your lap and be shelling, stringing, or shucking something. Feed the hulls to the neighbor's pig because she'll save a ham for us. How to keep a 7-year-old from knowing she's poor. My mom used to take my brother and I to the soup kitchen every week to volunteer. We must always be kind to those less fortunate, she'd say. Then, after volunteering, "Oh, it's so late and I don't feel like cooking. Let's just eat here while we're here." You can live on strawberry powder, Nesquik and water for 3 days. Libraries can save your life. The first part of my childhood I would get home from school, usually to a vacant house. I really wouldn't know if I was even going to see either of my parents each night. No cell phones of course. But I was always afraid, nervous at least, of what would happen if they did decide to make an appearance. I started walking to the library every day after school and staying till they closed every night just to avoid the feeling of anxiety for a little longer. Eventually one of the librarians noticed and took a liking to me. I think she might have been through similar things in her life that she saw in me. Gradually we got to know each other. First I started noticing there were more books being added in the genres that I liked. Then one day after the library closed, I walked over to McDonald's. I was a quarter or so short to buy a hamburger and she saw me asking people if they had any change. I saw her and was embarrassed and kinda hid from her. From that point on I think she decided that she was going to take me under her wing. For over a year she would come by my desk at the library and just drop off chips, granola bars, pop, whatever you know. Of course, I would tell her I didn't need it, when in reality I only knew where one meal would come from each day. When I would ask her where it came from, she would just say it was extras from the break room, even though I could hear her in there putting coin after coin into the vending machine. Eventually she would just bring dinner every night to the library and we would sit down in the break room with each other and eat. I finally opened up to her about my family/living issues and had her to talk to. Even though I was still pretty guarded, this was a huge relief. Then, after I had been there almost 2 years, it was the week before school started, and I headed into the library. Before I left she told me to meet her outside after close. I did. We walked to her car, and she pulled out a brand new school backpack, and inside was a new outfit, binder, and shoes, my first Nikes. That's when I broke down, and my walls crumbled. She was a single lady working off a librarian's income, but she still made room for me. For 3 years she supported me as much as she could, and she was more of a friend than I had ever experienced up until that point in my life. She is the #1 reason I got out of that house and life. She was with me at all my adoption hearings, and made sure I was put with a nice family. She was at my graduation, and my wedding. She saw me grow up and succeed in life after coming from the bottom. She saw her work and love pay off. I went to her funeral this summer and it felt like I had lost my mother, but I couldn't stop reflecting on how much she changed my life through her sacrifice. Truly an amazing person, and I still donate to the library every year. You have more of a tendency to be generous, I think. I grew up dirt poor with like 2 pieces of clothing to my name and most of our meals came from the food bank or from donations from the church my parents attended. Still, my mom mostly would not hesitate to help someone worse off than us. Also, you learn how to have fun for free. Kid me thought that getting to use the free desktop computers at the library and going to the park were the best things ever. 1. How to do everything without money. Laundry gets done in the sink, walking is cheaper than the bus, a shower is cheaper than TP, torn clothes can be mended. 2. Money isn't everything. 3. Giving when you have extra is the best way to stay afloat in times of need. Having to help your single mum earn money by doing odd jobs that involved being embarrassed because you were cleaning the houses of your schoolmates, delivering junk mail to their homes, buying things on the cheap from garage sales that end up being their homes, collecting things people put out for hard rubbish council collection on the street, etc. I had a chair that belonged to an older boy's family, and every couch we have had was off the street. Mum also used to go to open houses when she was dreaming about being able to move to a better place, and one time I discovered I was inside the room of a boy from my grade. Saw his picture on his desk lol. The other time I was really embarrassed was when I had offered a girl in a younger grade a lift home. We had to do Tetris to fit her in the car. There were 20 plus packs of 36 roll toilet paper Mum had gotten on a massive sale from a factory outlet because they had packaging damage / were squashed. We were 3 girls and Mum in the house. We went through a lot of loo roll lol. What it's like to be told you think you're just better than us because my mom valued education and prioritized it so we could do better for ourselves. Going into pawn shops to find the things your aunt stole from you and pawn to get drug money. Knowing which family members you had to hide medicine, your purses, and other valuables from when they would visit. The embarrassment of whipping out the Monopoly money food stamps. The taste of government peanut butter. What it's like to use the same bath water as your siblings because running a new tub of water is a waste. The excitement of a trip to the day-old bread store. The ubiquitousness of the concept of need versus want. What it's like to sit at the dinner table emptying piggy banks to help your mom pay bills. Holding your mom quietly the amazingly few times she'd break down crying at the end of the day. The one thing I don't know from growing up poor is how the fuck a dishwasher works. How to get the most out of food. My mum grew up poor with 6 siblings and nothing went to waste. Maruchan ramen tastes better than Nissin ramen. Back to school clothes aren't an option. You don't throw away burnt toast, you scrape it. You only flush if you went number 2. Eating out of boredom is a luxury. Churches and organizations can make your Christmas happen, although you'll mostly get necessities. Shoes, underwear, winter coat, shampoo, etc. Poor kids should just be happy someone cares enough. We aren't given normal gifts. If you send a bad check to the utilities company on a Friday, you have power for the weekend. When you get home and see a yellow notice hanging off your door, you're fucked. It's always on a Friday so you're out of luck until Monday. You don't want to repeat a grade level, not because it's embarrassing or mommy will scold you, but because that's one less year before you can graduate, work and ease the family's financial burden. How to unfreeze copper water pipes with a blow dryer and then how to use a soldering iron to fix the split in the pipe. How to boil down snow so you have the ability to have water to wash up with when the above mentioned task is unsuccessful. How people who have money treat you. I went to a girls-only grammar school as I passed the exams to get in. There were girls whose parents wouldn't allow to come to my house. I felt lonely, worthless and isolated a lot of the time. But I got my PhD in the end, so fuck you Mr. and Mrs. Bromhead. You learn about sliced bread spread with margarine and sprinkled with sugar as a sweet treat. How to cook with broke people shit. Ramen plus seasonings and hot sauce, bread and honey or syrup. I used to take cinnamon, sugar, and some white bread with butter if we had it and make snacks for my little brother. Regular shit most people would just go and buy, we had to make or find a way to get close to it. My mom would wrap what presents we got using old newspaper and magazine paper. She'd tailor the pages to look pretty or refer to a joke or hint at the present inside. I thought it was normal. It didn't occur to me until I was an adult. Lying to social services because your parents are working and collecting unemployment. Thanks Reddit. I am now dying inside. I remember my mom donating plasma and getting groceries on the same day. It didn't occur to me that that was how she was paying for the small amount of food. We used those plastic milk cartons for TV dinner tables and end tables. Meals included top ramen, fried bologna sandwiches that were sometimes just fried mustard sandwiches because we had no meat, white rice with butter and sugar. I also remember the power going out and there wasn't a storm. So, we had a family camp out in the living room and cooked on an old camp stove. how amazing reliable transportation is. Carrying a hammer to hit the starter and a jug of water in case it needs more coolant. That you can reheat just about everything with a decent pot and a working stove. You learn to be very flexible with your needs and wants. Want some dessert? You make your own rice pudding at home. Have relatives coming over? You all sleep on the floor together because you don't have extra beds. Want new clothes for a Barbie? You learn to stitch your own clothes. Ditto the above. Walking everywhere under 3 miles, about an hour's walk. Spending/giving your parents money, from high school onwards. No culture of gifts, not necessarily a bad thing. If you want anything, you get a job and buy it. Christmas presents are usually cookies or alcohol. Eating out isn't fun, this one's kinda sad, but I'm more of an eat to live kinda guy, so I'm not too bothered. I don't think I've ever had an enjoyable meal out. Moaning about the small portion sizes, feeling guilty for getting drinks, arguments over the bill. I don't like eating out and I don't think I ever will. No big deal though, I like home cooked.